You know what time it is, 9 a.m. sharp inside the game here on the National Soccer Network. I'm Nate Wangler. That's Ryan Glinsky. Welcome back in to everyone joining us here on the show. We appreciate you stopping by as always. As always, give us a follow on social media at National Soccer Network. You can also find Sports Nation TV as well on social media. Ryan's been doing a great job posting a lot about everything that's going on in the all sports world. And we got a stacked show here today. Wanted to tell you before we dive into everything we got going on our show, we got a few interviews that are coming up. Will both be on tomorrow, talking to a couple of different USL sides, San Antonio, as well as the Colorado Switchbacks. So we'll have both of those two teams represented on our show. And obviously, Ryan, the USL continues to grow, and it's an exciting league to cover and to certainly be a part of.
Yeah, I would agree. Working pretty closely with the Macomb Union last year, and talking with Grontic and Vincent Vasilevsky. I know they're USL too, but still unbelievable stuff what they're doing down there. We of course did the USL Academy, which is great to actually see that the bigger teams in the USL Championship who will be interviewing. USL 2 will come a little bit later on down the line, but again, their seasons don't start for a little bit. But USL Championship rather starts up here soon. And you're right, it's an exciting league. I didn't know the USL Championship existed till like 4 years ago with Detroit City FC. Went to a couple of those games. I think that was right when they got promoted. Well, probably bought and into the USL Championship, I should say. But
Yeah.
no, it's an exciting time, especially here in the country with the game of soccer, with their potential promotion, relegation in their league, which seems exciting. I don't necessarily know if it'll work or it'll happen just because of the whole money situation, because money talks here, especially in this country. But no, super exciting. There's actually one team that getting in contact for next week, which they won't actually have a season, but they are in the USL Championship. But their inaugural season will be in 2027, so might potentially have their founder on the show as well.
Yeah, and that authenticity a lot of times speaks to the people that watch, and obviously the fan bases too. So we'll have a lot of good things to talk about with those conversations. But getting into what we're talking about here today, I wanted to work this side note in. I saw this on social media yesterday. Apparently, the USA Gold Medal game was the most watched pre 9 a.m. sporting event in American history. So 26 million people watched. Hey, congratulations. That is the most odd split stat I think I've ever seen in my life. The most
You
watched
said
pre
you didn't
9
like
a.m.
the
sporting
morning
event.
game. You said you didn't like the morning game. Why that? Why is that?
Because I was dead. Because I had to get up at 7 a.m. to watch it. That's why. Because you thought I was crying in the video that I made. I was not crying. I was just tired.
How do you not like an 8 a.m.
That's
game?
all that was.
How do you not like that?
I mean, it could have gone either way, right? I liked it after the fact because it set up the rest of my day.
Like you
I
don't
felt
like
great
waking
because
up.
they won.
You don't have to wait all day for this whole stress that goes on in your life because this whole game. That's why I like Michigan OSU at noon, even though it should always be a night game, but it's over and done with right away. But
That
you're
all
telling
agree.
me,
Yeah, that all agree.
you're telling me you don't like waking up at 7, 8 in the morning, having a couple mimosas in you, watching a sporting event, like you don't like that?
Well, it could either set you up for success or it could set you up the other way. Because if that overtime period goes a different way than the way that it did, then yeah, I mean it completely derails the rest of the day. Or it goes the way that it does, now the rest of the day is great. I just think it's hilarious. What other big sporting event can you think of one sporting event in American history that was like big? You know, we're talking like super big that was pre 9 a.m. I can't think of one. Obviously, we don't have
Not
sports
many
before 9 in the
because
morning.
they're always usually played here. But you're telling me,
Exactly.
you're telling me you wake up. It's a brisk fall morning. That's 7 in the morning. You're about to tailgate a football game at noon that you have no business even going to. But like you don't like waking up, drinking a beer or drinking a mimosa right away. You're telling me that that's not fun? You wouldn't wake up for that?
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
Oh boy! Boy!
I wouldn't say
this guy's not
hated
American.
it.
This guy is not
but
American.
But I was just nervous, man. I mean,
this guy's not American. People. Nate Wangler is not American.
Looked up events and what it compares to. Half of them are before 1900. So I don't know. So clearly 26 million people watching the event is probably going to be a little bit bigger than what it was in the 1890s there. But
I have no idea what you said. You cut out there. So I have no idea what you said.
Oh boy. Oh geez. Okay. Anyways, moving on. But hey, yeah, congrats on being the most watched event before 9 a.m. No, man, I enjoyed it. But I was also just, shitting bricks the entire time. But our cold open of the day, will the USA win the World Baseball Classic? Teams releasing their rosters. Tarik Skubal will only be pitching for one game. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
I'm not gonna lie. Tarik Skubal pisses me off. Like, what do you mean you're only gonna pitch one game? Then don't be on the team. If I'm the USA baseball team, be like, yeah, then leave, bro. Like, if you're not in it, leave. If you're not in it on the team fully, you know what it is Scott Boras. That's exactly what it is. It's in his ear. He's in his ear. We got a contract coming up. Let's prepare for that. Nah, Skubal. Again, we're talking about that later, but Skubal wimps out of a lot of stuff.
I heard this said last year, and I remember talking to someone I knew in the baseball space. I was like, "Are you watching the World Baseball Classic?" I'm like, "This is sick," because I thought it was cool, and obviously watching what Shohei was doing and watching what the U.S. was doing, and them being on a crash course. And he responded. He goes, I already have a world championship to worry about. He goes, and that's the World Series. He's like, that's the only world championship that I'm concerned about. And so the question is kind of for like Americans, like, do they really care about winning the World Baseball Classic? I certainly do.
Probably not. Majority probably doesn't.
Yeah, probably not. That's what I'm saying. Probably not. And so it means a lot to a lot of different countries. It certainly means more, I would say, to the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico or Japan than it means to us. So already we're kind of starting off on the wrong foot here. And I think for Tarik Skubal, yeah, I mean, the justification may be that, hey, I have a contract coming up. This is a contract year. Everything that I do this year is huge for the remainder of my career, right? Because I'm coming towards the end of my time potentially here in Detroit. Either that, and I need to prove that. That's what I'm saying. So he needs to have a good year so he can be a good trade piece. And so everything needs to go right for Tarik Skubal this year. And so I respect it. I realize why he would want to do something this. I don't, at that point, just, you're right. To your point, just don't be on the team. Don't take up a roster spot. Like, you don't have to. I'm going to pitch in one game. Why would you want to be a part of it if you're only going to pitch in one game? That doesn't make it. That part doesn't make any sense.
I think we should save this for the second hour here. We can save that for the second hour when we're actually talking about Skubal wimps out a lot.
I'm just saying, I don't think you disagree with what I'm saying. So,
Skubal's a wimp is basically what it boils down to. Do we win it all? Probably not. The Japs are robots. They're not real people. They're made in a lab. The Japs are winning.
It's a lot of money up for grabs, Ryan. I'm sure he probably doesn't want to risk that. I wouldn't want to risk that either, personally.
No, he's proven it before that he wimps out in big spots. So
it's 100 pitches in 6 innings, Ryan. You got to score a few runs in order to win that game.
Justin Verlander win a complete game in Game 5 and got us there, but I forgot Skubal has gotten to an ALCS.
Justin Verlander had to go a full game because we didn't have a bullpen then. He had to go a full game because we didn't have a pen. We didn't have the pitching staff for the pitching development that we have now.
I forgot Skubal's been to an ALCS. I forgot about that. Oof.
I
forgot he's given up a grand slam in a Game 5 of an ALDS. My bad. I forgot how good he is.
Got us there. Oh, man. You don't blame the engine on a car when the tires won't run. I mean, like, the offense was a dead horse. I don't understand why Tarik Skubal is the focus of the blame.
I forgot Skubal gave up a grand slam against the Guardians in Game 5. I forgot.
He did. He did. So what? Yeah, okay, absolutely. But he got him there. He was the closest thing to an automatic dub that they could get. The only reason why they were in that game is because they can't score runs. Come on now. All right, let's get into our first topic here. Our number 1 on the soccer portion. We'll talk more about this later on. Weston McKennie finally getting the respect that I think a lot of us realize that he's been deserving. He's been fighting to stay at Juventus for a while now, but now set to finalize a deal that will last until 2030 with the club. This is a great sign for me, and I love seeing this. And this is something that both of us have talked about, that he is more than deserving of putting pen to paper with Juventus and sticking around for the long haul. So far this year, Weston McKennie with the club here in 25-26, 4 goals, 5 assists with Juventus. And yeah, I mean, having
talk about all the
he's already
he's played.
Well, yeah, too, and the versatility too, and just played striker and scored a goal. So that's wild to see. An assist,
he did
rather.
not score as a striker.
But crazy to see his versatility, and I think that's certainly a big part of it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree that he's been deserving this contract for a long time. He's played really well for Juventus. He's been arguably their best player, which is weird to say that 2 Americans are the best players on arguably some of the most historic teams in Serie A, and Juventus and AC Milan. Obviously, Juventus has fallen off based on certain things that have gone on in the club. I can't get into, but Weston McKennie's been really good. He's shown his versatility. I think he's a team guy where he's going to do anything he wants for the club. He's played striker, and again, maybe we can use Weston McKennie for the USA. I don't think we should as a striker, but it depends on the game situation. And I think we have capable strikers as it is. But again, it's a reported $4 million a year, reported from Fabrizio. I would say then it's, I think 2030 is what he said. It's in the final stages. What'd you take a photo of?
Nothing.
What?
I took a picture of the Nate Wangler is an American.
I'm
gonna put that up. I'm putting that one up on social. That's the running topic on the show today for anybody who wants to hop in on Inside the Game from 9 to 11 a.m. Nate Wangler isn't American.
I should probably update that. My bad. But yeah, no.
Go ahead.
Contract's in the final stages. He's fully capable of delivering. He's delivered time and time again for Juventus. I think the fans really like him. It's just more of the Italian media and the Juventus insiders, I guess you could call them, are like, he might not make the team. He's got to prove his place again, and he just proved it time and time again, all the time.
Yeah.
It's in the final stages. It's not finalized yet, but it's supposed to be a 4-year extension, and ultimately it keeps one of our best players, one of our key players on the men's national team overseas. So this is another player we talked about. Do these guys make a jump over to the MLS? Do they make that jump? And Weston McKennie was maybe one of them just based on his contract situation. But you know what? He's not doing so. It's really good to see. I'm glad he is. He's been deserving of it. And I think Juventus faithful are very happy with what he's doing. And it just proves that another American overseas is doing their thing. Does it ultimately mean we're going to win a World Cup? No. Does it mean we're going to get to a semifinal? No. Does it mean we're going to win a Copa? No. But you know what? We're getting better. We're starting to prove ourselves as, I shouldn't say a standard, but, starting to put ourselves in the conversation, I guess, in the world stage.
Alexi Lala said this when we were talking to him, and I agree, because I remember bringing this up on our show once upon a time, and that was that in 2022, the group we're going to see 4 years later in 2026 is going to look largely the same. And in 2022, the prevailing, talking point was that this is a young group. This is a young collection of American players that is probably has no business being on the field against a side like England or anybody else that they played. But they were, you could see the potential in it. And I remember thinking, okay, 2026 will be the year that this group is really tested, because we're going to have 4 more years of development. We're going to have 4 more years of seeing where their professional careers end up going. What roads do they go down? Who do they end up being with? What do they accomplish? And from where we were in 22 to where we are in 26, the maturing component of it, and seeing just how much, the more seasoning, developing in the way that we want to see, exactly in that same vein, Weston McKennie is one of those names that comes to mind, especially with the year that he's having this year. And I think it's a big difference when we look at it between, skeptics and media and what goes on the inside. When Europeans are like, the only thing that matters to us is that you produce on the field. Sometimes I think the fans are being a little disingenuous, because sometimes I think it matters to them more where you're from. Where it matters maybe
I'd
not
agree.
nearly as much is on the inside. And we have seen uh, Luciano Spalletti be very complimentary of everything that Weston McKennie has done, and in the most valuable way too, in my mind, in his versatility, which I think is a component of his game that I think is probably the most useful for Mauricio Pochettino and the U.S. men's national team, because having a guy that you can plug and place and knowing that he can do so many different things well, a motivated, creative Weston McKennie at his best. You talk about setting up someone like Flo Balogun or even Christian Pulisic, or just having those two kind of double up on whoever we put in that striker position, which a lot of them have looked really great. And we've talked about that. That is really, in a lot of ways, another major key for this U.S. men's national team. If McKennie can do what we believe he can do. And so that is the thing. I think there's a stark difference between what the media and the critics see and then what everybody sees on the inside. And what everybody sees on the inside at Juventus, and we've seen this not just from Luciano Spalletti, but everybody else involved in that organization, is they kind of admire the kid and what he can do. And so, and the fact that he is an American and he is at a historical club like that shows that the 2022 version of what we saw to Weston McKennie was just the tip of the iceberg. Now we've actually seen what he has developed into. And so, I think it gets me excited. Yeah, for him personally, and I think the idea of him potentially coming back to the United States to begin with, I think was just a fantasy. I think it's another thing where it was like, if he did come back, it would be great to see him here. It would be great to have him here. Obviously, American fans would welcome him with open arms, but I think we're just starting to see Weston McKennie break into that next level. And so it would be really hard for someone like him to justify coming back stateside. Josh Sargent, who we can certainly talk about, a little bit of a different story, and there are good and bad that comes with all of that. Obviously, I think the World Cup dream is fading a little bit for him. But when we look at Weston McKennie, he really is just getting started. And so I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what he looks like at Juventus until 2030. And who knows? Maybe he eventually gets to a Champions League side or a Premier League side. I could certainly see that for the kid. But yeah, they love him over there, and they've certainly fallen in love with his skill set. And Luciano Spalletti has been, like I said, he's been vocal about it. We've talked about it many a times on this show, so it's good to see for him.
No, I would agree. He deserves it. He's been nothing but great for Juventus. And when they're like, dude, can you play this position? Can you play this position? Goes out there and kills it. And sometimes I feel like I have seen in certain spots where a midfielder can play a striker role pretty decently, just based on like
Yeah.
the situation of the game and passing it. I was actually one of them for my high school team for like
Nice.
half a season, which made zero sense, but I tried my best. But no, I think Weston's a guy that he goes out there and gives it his all every single time, and he's shown it not only for Juventus, not only for Schalke way back in the day, Leeds United back in the day, and then obviously for the U.S. men's national team. And yes, would I like to see a Weston McKennie back in the MLS at some point? Yes, I would love to see Weston McKennie at some point, but it can't be right now. It's got to be when he's like 33, 32, maybe 34 years old, if he's still kicking it around then. But I'm just glad that we have another American that is constantly performing really well at a high level. He's doing it in the Champions League. He's doing it in Serie A, and he's just doing it all over the place. And I think they should be through. I don't know if Juventus is through yet, but we'll find out Friday who they play in the round of 16. But no, it's a really good thing to see for Weston. I think he's an unbelievable player. I think he's one of our key pieces, because if you look at like some of our we talk about with the Lions, like there's 4 pillars. That's Amon-Ra, Goff, Sewell, and I forgot Hutchinson. And then for the U.S. men's national team, I think the 4 pillars, honestly, is a Tyler Adams, a Chris Richards, a Weston McKennie, and a Christian Pulisic. Obviously, Pulisic is the biggest one, but you look at those other players that are on the field. Those 4 players, which shout out Tyler Adams, he came back from injury this week, 66 minutes I think he played, 73 minutes, something like that. But those 4 players play constantly, week in, week out, in top flights. 2 of them in the Premier League, 2 of them in Serie A. And you could argue Pulisic is the best player in Serie A. You could argue that Weston McKennie is the best player on Juventus. Would I say, well, now Semenyo's gone, so maybe I could say Tyler Adams. No, I can't say Tyler Adams, the best player on Bournemouth. I can't say that. And then Chris Richards on Crystal Palace. I mean, they kind of stink now that Mark Gahey's gone. So maybe I could say
Yeah.
Chris Richards is the best player in Crystal Palace because there ain't many players to truly pick from at Crystal Palace. But Chris Richards doing his thing, and especially that's what I wanted to see after Mark Gahey left is, was it mainly Mark Gahey or was Chris Richards actually a pretty good player? But no, another player that is constantly playing well in a top flight, and that's exactly what you want to see. And hopefully we get another 4 years, minimum out of it. But again, it's still not set in stage. I know we're like talking about that it is set in stage. It is not fully set in stage yet. It's just in the final stages, as reported yesterday, like during the show, at the end of our show. That's what it was reported. But it is not finalized yet, but it's in the final stages.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, they're heading that way, and I mean, it certainly seems all but wrapped up. It's set in stone, by the way, is the saying, just so you know. Set in stone.
But I'm just reading off Fabrizio's tweet. He just says it's in the final stages.
Oh, okay. All right. I got
it's
you.
not.
But
I read off the one and only Fabrizio Romano, which if you guys ever get a chance, check out that guy's screen time. He's like reported during the transfer window, the summer transfer window. I think he's on his phone. I think a total of like 18 hours a day because of just tweets.
Jeez.
Well, when you are the best.
Well, yeah.
And the lone reporter for European soccer, that's expected. Like, how much you want to bet? What do you think Shams is going on during trade deadline, NBA draft, and
oh man,
NBA free agency? It's probably crazy.
Oh man, yeah, he's probably not sleeping. He's probably not eating. He's probably. I mean,
Fabrizio said he doesn't. He just basically just sits in a suit all day in case he's got to go on a podcast or he's got to go on some Sky Sports thing or some Spanish outlet and just report. He basically just sits there all day and just like this, and he's getting, I mean, he's probably gone through like 5 phones a year just because of how much he's on them. But, at the same time, I mean, he's like the only one that does it like consistently. Dave Ornstein obviously does, but not to the level of Fabrizio. And the Here We Go is iconic. I will say this, though. Yeah. I will say this. Fabrizio has ruined transfers. He has. Because there was always an element before Fabrizio Romano and social media got there. There was always an element of surprise when the player would eventually join the side. Like, you'd always hear rumors of, like, oh, they might actually sign this player. Like, someone's flying in today. They might have a medical. So
you don't know until he's out on the. You don't know until he's out on the pitch. Then.
No, you didn't know it until the club announced it themselves. Like, you didn't know that a video was until the video was dropped, or which might be the greatest moment, the greatest transfer moment ever was when Mesut Ozil was brought into Arsenal, but nobody knew a thing. It was a deadline day signing with like minutes to go on the deadline, and we sucked at that point. We needed a superstar, and then all of a sudden, there's this reporter outside the Emirates. And all of a sudden, you start, like, there was hints about it. Like, Wenger would be like, something's coming. And everyone's like, well, what is it? Then all of a sudden, there's a reporter set outside the Emirates. And, 100 Arsenal fans see this reporter. And they're like, what is he saying? And they go behind the reporter. And they're like, what is he? Like, they are, you basically, how, like, Michigan basketball, sits behind Dusty May when there's an interview going on. Picture that, but, 100 crazy fans just trying to figure out what they're saying. And all you hear is, Mesut Ozil will be an Arsenal player, and they just maul the poor reporter. They start freaking out, going crazy. Now, since Fabrizio, he's kind of ruined it all just because of, you get an update. So-and-so's here, so-and-so's here, so-and-so's here. It's already agreed, just waiting on this. We'll say he's ruined that, but, he's he does a really good job with his job.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for reporters and getting in there and trying to break news, because I always look out for Woj bombs and stuff, and I'm sure those guys, endless hours on their phone.
I kind of want to bring
it
in the show. Hold on, after the commercial, I might have to bring this in the show.
Okay, let's talk about. I'll let you pull that up then. First, let's tell you about FC Bayern summer soccer camps. They're a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. And right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30. or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at fcbayernyouth.com. This is Inside the Game. Welcome in. By the way, did I point out, did I mention my new decoration in my room?
You did not. Look at that.
Yeah, check that out. Yeah. Woo, I knew I had it laying around somewhere.
Anymore, or in the shower, as Alexi Lalas was saying.
I knew I had it. So I got that one, and I got some other flags, as well as like some pennants. So I just have to figure out how to like hang it all up in the background, because then I got that curtain back there. But no, it's I knew I had it floating around. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem, and I screwed myself over on this. I made a bet once upon a time with a friend of mine that if Michigan were to lose against Ohio State this year, now mind you, this was before I saw the train wreck that we saw early in the year, but if they had lost to Ohio State, I would get an Ohio versus everybody flag. And I would have to hang it up in my studio, in my room, wherever it is that I record. So I do have that flag. So now I got to hang it up.
Dude,
so
it's
that's
almost March. They lost in November.
I get it. I know, I get it.
You're not
and I think
your bets.
I think he completely forgot about the bet. So did I, but I still have it. So now I got to hang it up. So that's the next thing on my list, and I'm not going to be happy about it. So just let you know.
You're pretty bad at repaying your bets. Like that happened.
At least it wasn't money. At least it wasn't money. At least I didn't like owe him like $100 or something. I always pay back those debts, but I don't know. I didn't hang up the flag in my room, so I'll get to it. But anyways, do you have that video pulled up or whatever it is pulled up that you wanted to show? All right, go ahead.
Win titles again.
It has taken some time, and what are we? We are just over half an hour from the window closing, and Arsenal have pulled off the signing of Mesut Ozil. A 5-year contract was put on the table to him. He has signed that. Mesut Ozil is now going to be playing in the Premier League for Arsenal.
I worry about that cameraman. I worry about him.
Jim, they are a patient bunch, this lot, aren't they? They really are.
But no, that was pure cinema. That was like peak. Did we ultimately win a Prem with it? No. But man, was that peak. And that's what Fabrizio is taking away from us. He's taken that away. That element. Transfer things used to be a thing.
Yeah.
That's a club record fee too, by the way. That was like £42 million, which I think we spent almost 110 million on Declan Rice, but that's whatever.
What's the translation to American currency? 42 million pounds. It's
probably like $50 million, $48 million. But again, that was back in like 2014. So it'd be less.
Oh yeah. So it'd be 56.7 million US dollars in that same. So if you were to translate it over to American currency, wow.
Is that today's money or is that 2014's money? I
guess that's today's money technically. I guess I could add in the in the 2014. I mean, I'm sure it'd probably be a couple million less, but I mean, still, or more rather. But yeah, it's no, that's wild. Nothing stays a secret anymore. There are reporters and there are people around for everything, and I feel like there are leaks 24/7. Obviously, we see that with like the major American leagues here, but I can definitely see where you're coming from with the, you kind of like the surprise aspect to it, not knowing until right up until the very end. But now, at least in our sports, like specifically, like you think about the NBA, like guys know they're being traded from social media. Like they don't hear it from anywhere else. They see it on media first, and then they learn that they're getting traded, which is I don't know, it's just the way the world works now. But getting deeper into our number one here, I saw this on social media earlier this morning, and I thought it was a little ridiculous at first, but, there have been a couple of different outlets that have been reporting it. I don't think there's any legs to it, but I do think it's worth talking about because with the World Cup coming up here in 2026, obviously the U.S., Mexico, and Canada set to host, there's been some recent developments that have maybe put a question mark on one of those host countries. We've seen some of the cartel violence in Mexico. Obviously, after the death of one of their own, the president of Mexico actually just recently came out and said there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be concerned about here. We are still prepared to host the 2026 World Cup. I think what's troubling about that mentality is that there have been a lot of famous tourist destinations that have been targeted kind of indiscriminately. And obviously right now you have people that are stranded in those areas. So, what would stop them from going after maybe a World Cup venue? I'm not quite sure. But, on the side of the Americans, I'll get to that in a second. But, when it comes to the situation in Mexico, is this something that we should be concerned about?
Yeah. They're blowing stuff up. Yeah, it's something that you should be worried about. 100%. I mean, don't want to go in depth on it, but when you do that, it's going to escalate certain things, and certain people are going to respond in certain violent ways. It's just how it works. That's just the way it works. But no, I feel bad because my aunt and uncle actually had a vacation to Mexico at the end of March. And talking with them yesterday, they're like, yeah, we're thinking about, canceling that and going somewhere else. But, yeah, and a handful of people, which, by the way, what a horrible day for the Canadians. Not only did they wake up early to see their team lose the gold medal, but then they find out that they're stranded in the resorts. But no, and especially where it's happening, there's a couple World Cup venues there. I think Spain is supposed to be stationed over there, I guess, for like their camp. Their World Cup camp is supposed to be over there. I think them in Colombia. I could be wrong on that. But no, it's just it's a little difficult to say, especially with what's going on over there with Mexico. But I guess it was always kind of a thought that this could eventually happen if this happened or that happened. Is Canada going to host it themselves? I mean, I don't know. No. They have hosted a Women's World Cup by themselves in 2015, so they definitely have the infrastructure for it. Will FIFA allow that? Probably not, because they need the most bang for their buck as it is anyway. But it definitely feels like a bad situation. But at the same time, if we look at the history of the World Cups, Brazil had a lot of backlash for how much it costed them and how much infrastructure they had. South Africa the same way. Russia, I don't recall a ton of stuff. Maybe that's because USA wasn't playing in it, so I didn't really pay attention to a whole lot of it leading up to the World Cup. But yeah, obviously it's Russia. It's Putin. Obviously now Russia can't even compete in team sports. Then you look at Qatar and that whole catastrophe, but that happened perfectly fine. And so there's always issues, especially with a world tournament like this, and especially the way FIFA is. But there's always issues about it. There will always be conspiracies and how things get to certain things and the money trail, but I don't think it's going to be in jeopardy per se, because every country has their issues. Is it to this extent?
Yeah.
No, but every country has its issues, and at the end of the day, people are still going to show up to these games. They're still going to break record numbers. The advertisers aren't going to pull out their money if it's still happening. Because guess what you can do in the modern day? You can watch the game from anywhere. You can watch the game on your phone, tablet, laptop, or even your TV. So you can pretty much do anything you want and can watch it anywhere. So you don't really have an issue about that at all. Now you good over there? You're frozen.
Am I?
Yeah. We'll bring Nate back in a little bit.
How's that look?
But no, it's a little rough. But it's there's always issues with everything. But you know what? Everyone has their country have their issues, and I don't think Canada will host it themselves. They've done it before, but I don't think they're going to do it just by themselves. USA and Mexico will still have their say.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I understand that I've seen it kind of circulated. I didn't really see any major outlets talking about it, but I could also imagine a world in which, Canada kind of looks at Mexico and the US and goes, hey, if we need to move it up here, ain't a lot going on up in the Great White North. So if you want less drama, you can have it here in Canada. The situation in Mexico is a little concerning just simply because of how violent it is and the fact that, again, if you're going after tourist destinations, who's to say you wouldn't go after a World Cup destination if that tournament comes here and whatever the case may be. So I trust that they're going to be able to get it sorted out. I trust that they're going to be able to kind of figure out what they need to do before the World Cup comes. At least I hope, because that could really throw a wrench into things. When it comes to the United States, when it comes to here in the US, I think that we realize that the U.S. would be, and even the people in positions of power in the United States realize that it would be a dumb choice to go after people who are coming to this country to go to the World Cup and who are spending money here. I understand if you look at socioeconomic or political and you're like, well, it's kind of messy. How could the World Cup even come to the U.S.? Or it's going to be a failure. It's not going to be a failure. There are still going to be butts and seats. People are still going to come to watch, to consume the product, because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And people who are coming from far and wide, near and far, to come watch this game in the United States, in my estimation, are not in some sort of impending danger, because what the US views them as, what FIFA views them as, what the USA Soccer views them as, and even more importantly, what our government views them as, is consumers. They are consumers in all of this. And so the US, if they're smart and if they're wise, realizes the business opportunity that's in front of them. And I don't think they would do anything to risk that at all, personally. Now, is that reality? I don't know. I think the bigger concern is more, the little battles, the little legal battles like we see in Foxborough, with them going, hey, you can't stick us with an $8 million security bill. And then, this is your event. If it's your event, put up the money for your event. That's more going to be the conflicts that we're going to see versus the wide sweeping things that people are like, it's not possible to have. It is possible to have here. And I know that there might be people who have bailed on their tickets either because they're too expensive or the way they view the world. I don't know. But to say that it's going to be some sort of failure and that the U.S. is incapable of hosting it is wrong. And I think it's because they understand what those people coming here to the U.S. are going to do, which is in one way or another stimulate the economy. At least that's the hope for the places that are going to be hosting these teams. So
yeah, and think about, this happens every 4 years. It's not like it happens every single year, and people want to come to this thing. Everyone said no one wanted to go to Qatar. Everyone said no one wanted to go to South Africa. Well, guess what happened? Everyone still showed up. Over 1 billion people watched the final. Everyone was like, we got to boycott this and that for Qatar because, this happened, which obviously that was all wrong in how they, may have gotten the bid and how they built their infrastructure and how they built their stadiums, which they're now all torn down now, which I find a little fun. Well, actually, not all of them are torn down. A lot of them are just vacant now. And it's like, it costs you that much and costs you that much manpower, and now you don't
Yeah,
even use
that's
them.
kind of
So
the tragic part. Yeah,
it's like Brazil, even when they hosted the Olympics, like it happens every time whenever something with the Olympics or something with a world tournament of some sort, everything just gets abandoned. But the difference is about America. Canada definitely has infrastructure. Mexico's got a couple, but the difference with America is their stadiums are used all year round for everything, whether that's concerts, whether that's football games, Final Fours,
Yep.
tournaments of other aspects, high school football championships, like happens all the time. And so
Yeah.
to say that if I were FIFA, and I get to the part with the consumers, but this part of they might not be able to handle it. Well, the U.S. is like the only country in the world that can handle something like this, every single time, because everything's built, everything is already done for you. Essentially, all you pretty much got to do is employ the thing.
Yeah.
Right? You got to employ the security in place. You got to employ everything. So I don't think that they're like, you know what, we can't have the United States. What's going on in Mexico, that's very scary. That's just a very scary thing.
Yeah.
But on the side of the consumers, I mean, you'd be kidding yourself if you're FIFA or the United States or one of the host cities that are hosting a game. You'd be kidding yourself to be like, we can't have this thing. Like, we have to have this because of how much money it's going to generate for you. Like, we talked about the whole $8 million security deposit. Does it need to be done right now? Yes. But at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Foxborough makes like $20 million or something somehow in the whole thing with the amount of tourism, the amount of hotels, the amount of people just staying and using their city. And Boston.
Yep.
By the way, Foxborough is not in Boston. I know a lot of people got pissed off at Native for that. Foxborough is not in Boston. Just putting it out there. But no, it's just I think it's going to go perfectly fine. It's just, little things here and there that worry people. But again, it's still February 25th. Everything could be resolved at the same time. But there's definitely that little bit of worry for sure.
Yeah, it's never going to look perfect. It's never going to look all that clean, just simply because of how many moving pieces and how many countries and how much is involved. And you're always going to have something, again, compared to some of the previous stops, not nearly as bad, but it is obviously something to think about and to look at. And it just has not been a good, I feel like, stretch for a little bit for both sides, for the U.S. for different reasons, but obviously for Mexico. And so it just makes you a little concerned in the long run. But it's just, there's never going to be a perfect scenario. There's never going to be a perfect setup. And obviously with how FIFA does business, there's always going to be corruption. There's always going to be something that doesn't go quite the way you want it to. And I think the U.S. knew that. I think the three nations knew that and knew what they were getting themselves into. So I don't think it's going to threaten the World Cup. But again, the thing that I always find interesting is, like, if you don't like what the country does, or if you don't like, for whatever reason, there's some sort of conflict in your mind that it's like the country itself cannot host the World Cup. Keep in mind that this really isn't about us. This is about like the world. This is about like the Hades of the world, the Curaçaos, the ones who are trying to be on that world stage, that are trying to give their country some sort of recognition that they've never had before through the sport of soccer, and to compete in the greatest game in the world, the most popular game in the world. Like, it's not about that stuff. There are ways of getting your point across that you don't like what's going on in your situation and in your country without having that affect everybody else, because that's who I think about. I think about those countries and those sides. The whether it be whoever it is, and especially with the expanded
blown out
field
in their games.
Well, maybe, but at least they got to be there, and at least they got to be on that stage. So I think that's important, and I think that is a great service to them. But yeah, I mean, does it mean more exciting matches? Maybe, maybe not. Kind of like the expanded playoff format in college football. Like, you get more blowouts, you get more games that you're like, why are we even here? But at the very least, I don't, it is sad, some of the things that are going on, but again, it's not necessarily just about us. It's about all that other stuff. So, but yeah, do I think it's at danger? No. I mean, obviously the Mexico situation, I don't know. Here in the U.S., I think we'll be fine. And then obviously, Canada needs something to go right for them. They just need something to go their way so that we can just stop with all this, man, because they are just, I'm genuinely concerned, and I haven't reached out to many of my Canadian friends. I got a few of them, so I probably should reach out and just do a welfare check one of these days, because yeah, I mean, like we're going to talk about it a little bit later. They're saying we wouldn't care about the gold medal by Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and I still care. So anyways, getting into our final topic here on the other end of the break. What can the U.S. men's and U.S. women's national teams for soccer learn from the hockey teams in the Olympics this year? What can they learn? What can they take from what we saw from those two teams? Maybe not winning the World Cup on the men's side, certainly on the women's side. I think that's become the expectation. But what is it that would really inspire the American audience in the 26 World Cup? That's coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back live on Inside the Game. Nate Wengler alongside Ryan Glinsky, getting into our final topic here in hour number one. Before we start talking a little all sports, just wanted to let you guys know, though, we got a couple interviews coming up tomorrow. USL Championship side, San Antonio and the Colorado Switchbacks, talking to people from both of those two teams coming up on the show. So we're going to have two conversations here in hour number one. So you'll enjoy that. And make sure you check us out every morning, 9 to 11. But Ryan, the excitement and the buzz around the U.S. men's and women's national teams going out and winning the gold medal, not wearing off quite yet. That's half of everything I see on social media right now is some sort of hockey edit. And it's amazing how
celebrating.
Oh yeah, exactly. The Miami nightclub rave and
awesome.
At the White House in D.C. and everything going on, and so we've seen a lot from this team, and so the buzz is starting to wear off a little bit. But it's amazing to see how every 4 years, in the Olympics, is the moment where, for a lot of these teams, if you put on a good showing, you can inspire an entire generation of kids, just by going out and winning a gold medal. And that's why the Olympics matters just that much more. That's why they were talking about in this game, the speed in which the game was being played, really on both sides, men's and women's, was on a different level because it just meant that much more to the respective countries. And this is why we always talk about the Olympics and why it matters, especially in the context of team sports, because kids, yeah, okay, if I watch the Red Wings growing up, that's awesome. But there's a different sense of pride. There's a different sense of belonging when you watch a team of fellow countrymen go out and do something like win a gold medal. And we've talked about the World Cup in that same exact respect. Like, it's not as much about, yeah, we want to win because of national pride and all of those other things. Sure. But I think what matters more to people like myself, who obviously I have no athletic future. There's a reason why on this show, I talk to a microphone and I talk to you every day. There's a reason why I'm sitting here, and it's because I'm not an athlete. It's because I'm 5'9" and I'm a little overweight, and I got a big mouth and I'm a little too loud. So obviously this is a good fit for me. So my whole hope is just to see the next generation of players watch a tournament like this and be inspired by something like this. That's the whole reason why I think this tournament matters as much. It's all about the kids, and it always is about the kids because they are going to be the ones that kind of carry this on into the future. So the question is what can the U.S. men's national team, and really just focusing on them, because I think the women's national team, we can leave them alone. We know what they're up to. We know what they're good. Emma Hayes has got them on lock. They're doing all right. What does the men's team learn, and what do they take away from what we saw in the gold medal game? And I get that people probably get sick and tired of seeing the hockey and soccer comparisons. Like, guys, it's not the same sport. And I realize that. I know that this is apples and oranges. Like, this is two completely different things. But I think for me, Ryan, it's a mentality thing. And we've asked the question of, will we have a fully healthy Christian Pulisic? Will we have a fully healthy, on down the line. We've had a lot of different players that have had injuries with their clubs and whatnot. But that's not the thing that I think when they get to that point, it doesn't matter if you have those injuries in my mind. It doesn't matter if you have any sort of previous setbacks. The fight and the emotion and all of those things, I think, is what we want to see emulated by this men's national team in the World Cup. Now, does that result in wins? Obviously, winning is the most important thing, and we've talked about that. And if you don't win and if you get embarrassed, that could really come back to haunt you. But it really does start with a mentality perspective. And I think if the one thing Mauricio Pochettino has become since coming to the U.S. is, I feel like, a hockey fan. And he talks about him a lot, and he posts about him a lot. And I think it's because he looks at that team as inspiration, because we talked about it yesterday. Like, the underdog component of USA Hockey is what makes USA Hockey USA Hockey. It's what makes them special, because I don't ever see a world in which we are always going to be the betting favorites in any matchup, because we have the Russias and the Canadas. It's the same exact way for USA Soccer. I don't, every single kid in America could start playing soccer tomorrow, and I still think we would have trouble matching up with some of the highest, like the soccer powerhouses around the world, just because they've been doing it at a higher level for so much longer than we have. But if he's embracing that mentality of the underdog, the us versus the world, and his guys replicate that in the way that they carry themselves, I think that's just the one thing I want to see them take away from what happened this year in the Winter Olympics and carry that into the World Cup. I think that's it's the emotional component is really big for this team.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's a couple things they can do is make sure all their players are from the state of Michigan. You could do that.
Nice.
But number two, I think it's just the pride and the honor. I've always said that I think USA Hockey and USA Basketball, take more pride than the soccer team in playing in the competitions, because there's so few opportunities that those teams can represent their country on a global stage. Yeah, they play against the best of the best every single night in the NHL and the NBA. But how many times do you get to see Team USA versus Team Canada play each other in hockey, or Team France versus Team USA in basketball? Not often.
Yep.
Once every couple of years, maybe. These last 2 years, we were spoiled a little bit with hockey because of the Four Nations, and then obviously in the Olympics, so we saw it 3 times. So we're a little bit spoiled that way.
Yep.
But for USA Soccer, I think it's the pride that you mentioned. I think it's like, wow, this is an honor. And I think they're starting to realize that. I think they're starting to get that because, A, you want to try your best, especially in these friendlies, and impress Pochettino and camp, because you are playing in front of your host, and you are playing in front of your own country. I think there's a little bit of a pride factor in that sense. But yeah. I think what you take away is you come together as a team, and these guys have played together longer than these USA Hockey players has, outside of if you have a brother on the team. It's a little different. But But outside of the youth level, these guys didn't play with each other a ton in hockey. Against each other, sure. In the youth level, sure. But there's, 3 or 4 camps a year throughout the club season that these international players are playing with each other. So you get that. And then, of course, you have the summers where you're playing in a Copa America or a World Cup. But I just think that there's also that sense of belonging, that sense of togetherness that I feel like the USA men's national team has lacked at certain times. I definitely thought under the Clint Dempseys, the Josie Altidore, the Landon Donovan, that DeMarcus Beasley, that kind of area, I guess, they always felt a little bit more as a team than this current group, I would say, right now. I don't know if that's maybe, they're still young, they're still trying to figure things out. That could 100% be the case. And I guess when I was watching that era of guys, that was like 2014, that was probably like their third World Cup, together. So now we're getting into their second World Cup, and they get that under their belt. But if I'm the U.S. men's national team and I'm USA Soccer and I'm looking at USA Hockey and what they've done, you kind of have to be one of the best teams in the world, in which USA Hockey is and USA men's national team soccer isn't. But I also thought that there was this sense of, because they got outplayed by Canada, but there was a sense of toughness. There's a sense of grit. Let's make it difficult for everyone. Let's play for overtime 3-on-3, which ultimately benefited the United States. But if you're USA Soccer, it's how do we make it difficult for 120 minutes in a knockout game? How can we make it really difficult? How can we get it? How can we get a team like France off their A game? How can we get a team like a Spain off their A game? I mean, we've competed with England. We've tied England both times. We made it super difficult on England the last 2 times. The difference is against Belgium, Tim Howard had an unbelievable performance. We didn't make it difficult. Tim Howard just played amazing. And then against the Netherlands, we didn't do anything. We didn't play anything particular. Maybe if Pulisic scores that goal in the opening minutes, we're having a little bit of a different discussion in terms of that game and the way everything's set up. But I think there needs to be this sense of this toughness. Let's make it difficult for everyone. Yeah, we might not be as good as you, but you know what we're going to do? You're going to know when you leave the field that you were just in a dogfight, that you just had to claw your way to 3 points in the group stage or claw your way through a victory to get through into the knockouts. I think ultimately that's what they got to get down to, and USA Hockey did that against Canada. They made life super difficult and somehow stopped the lineup of Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid. So, I mean, they made life difficult even then, and they get the game-winning goal. But for USA Soccer, I think you got to get back to that toughness, that making it grit, making it difficult for everyone. Score on set pieces. Make it difficult to break you down. Make it super difficult for you. I see it time and time again, week in, week out, when it's Arsenal, when they're playing a smaller side, how difficult they make it for Arsenal because they sit so many guys back. But you know what they also do? They're physical. They get up in your face a little bit. They make it super hard for you to break them down. And I think that's what U.S. has got to get back to because that's what the Clint Dempseys of the world, the DeMarcus Beasleys, the Landon Donovans, that's how those teams were built.
And I think they realize that if the U.S. men's national team is able to combine that component with what they already have in terms of the developing talent that's on the field and the over 25 players that are now playing in top flight leagues in Europe. And there's obviously a few ones that just broke in. So we could talk about those guys too. But if you're able to combine the emotional component, the cultural component with the depth in the talent that we have now. Again, compared to what we did have. I'm not saying compared to the rest of Europe or South America or Africa or wherever. I'm just saying compared to what we did have, that could result in some pretty special things. And so it's the part of all this. It's the mentality. It's all those things that you want to see this team carry into the World Cup. Now, again, if that results in, maybe you don't even make, you don't get all that far. That's fine. But I want to see all that because I think it matters that much more to American fans. But let's get into our all sports content on the other side. First, I want to tell you a little bit about Barca Academy. They're a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States, designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18. Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Again, that's FCB30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I sing my song "Grown" on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up
Now for Barca
Camp.
Camp.
Welcome back in. You know what time it is. It's Wednesday. It's time for our favorite segment of the week here on Inside the Game. Our very own Ryan Glinsky worked hard putting this one together, and today's a fun one. I like this one. I have a feeling I know where both of us are going to go on this one because I think we're both kind of geared up for the same thing. Either that or, I don't know, maybe we go different ways. But it is Who Da Better here on Inside the Game. Ryan, who we got in our matchup this week?
The top 2 NBA MVP candidates, which actually one of them might not even be an MVP candidate if he doesn't play the amount of games. He can only miss 6 more games the rest of the way. That's right. SGA has missed a handful of games. But who da better here today? It's Cade Cunningham, Pistons dog. SGA, both of these two actually play each other tonight, too. That's also a reason why I picked these two. And I'll actually be at the game tonight and ready for SGA to rage bait me. But anyway, who da better here? Just the numbers. Cade Cunningham this year, 25.5 points a game. Nearly a double-double a game as he's just under 10 assists. Almost 6 rebounds a game. 1.5 steals. Didn't have to put that out there. That's a career high for him right now. 45% for the field. 33% from 3. Not a great three-point shooter, to be honest with you. 81% from the free throw line. He also shoots half the amount of attempts of SGA. Just putting it out there. 2024, last year, 26 points a game, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, almost 47% from the field, 35.5% from 3, 84% from the free throw line. SGA, on the other hand, this season, almost 32 points a game, 6.5 assists a game, 4.5 rebounds a game, 55% from the field, 39% from 3. 89% from the free throw line. That's right. He averages like 10 trips to the free throw line a night. 2024, last year, is MVP year where he won the NBA championship against the Indiana Pacers. He had, where is it? Oh, there it is. 32. Wow, I almost lost it for a second. 32 points a game, 6.5 assists, 5 rebounds, nearly 52% from the field, 37.5% from 3, and almost 90% from the free throw line again. So, Nate, who da better between Cade Cunningham and SGA?
Give me Cade Cunningham.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, that was okay, let me try that one again because I know you're going to clip this up and put this on social media. Give me Cade. SGA is called the free throw merchant. And you know what? I don't think it's all free throws, but there's a reason why reputations are developed in sports, and that's because they're developed from what we see on the floor every single night, which is exactly that. SGA is a bona fide star, yes, but I think he is also the recipient of the NBA. The way that the NBA is played now and the way that it's officiated completely benefits a star like SGA because he does get that kind of treatment. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. Everybody acknowledges it. The reason why I'll take Cade is because he's a point guard in Detroit. And then if you play in Detroit, you have to earn everything that you play for. Everything that you want, you have to go out and take yourself. And he led this team from being the biggest disappointment doormat in the NBA to the biggest turnaround in the NBA, and now at the top of the East with an opportunity to maybe, potentially, go win an NBA championship. There has been no single more influential player in Detroit Pistons basketball than Cade Cunningham since the Going to Work Pistons. There's been nobody like him. His ability to create, his ability to
What, not Ben
improvise, his
Gordon?
finishing. No, not quite. His 3-point shooting, yes. Has it been porous? Sure. But has he come up with big clutch shots in his career to win games at the buzzer? Yes, absolutely. And also his ability to set up everybody else around him, and his work on the defensive end, and his physicality. You know, SGA runs from contact. Cade invites contact. And you know what? I like my point guards that have a little muscle and a little bit of grit and a little meanness to them. We don't have enough point guards that get into it in the NBA anymore. They're all finesse guys. They're all assist guys. They're all SGAs. In other words, we don't have a point guard like Cade anywhere in the NBA like him anymore. No, SGA is one of the most protected players in the National Basketball Association, and Cade Cunningham is a straight killer. He's not a dog. He's a killer. He's a hitman, in other words. And yes, they do exist, and their name is Cade Cunningham, and he lives in Detroit. So, Cade. I'm going Cade, 100%.
I would go. Yeah, I'd go Cade. I'd still go Cade.
You had to pretend like you were thinking about it there for a sec.
I look at SJ. He's got an MVP already. He's got an NBA Finals. He won it last year. Could you argue it's against the Pacers, who may not have been good? Fine, you could argue that. But I look at the difference.
Without Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7.
He still technically played. He just didn't play much. He died like a quarter in. But if I look at these two players, and I think you're right, I want my point guard to be a little bit more physical. I want my guard to be taller, and I kind of like the way Cade Cunningham is built physically. The taller guard, that's kind of where the game is going anyways. And if Cade could develop a little bit more of a 3-point shot, I think he could be the best point guard in the league, in the world, 100%. Especially with Steph Curry, obviously going to heading towards the twilight years, I would say.
Yeah.
But I like the way I like how Cade plays, and you're right. You got to fight for everything in the NBA, or from Detroit, especially in the NBA. But I look at Cade, and there's not another go-to guy on this team. And in terms of scoring, there isn't. There just isn't. It's a group of hardworking defensive hustle players. That's really what it is. And then you have Cade Cunningham, who's a star. And I think if you were to take both of these players out of their respective teams, I don't think the Pistons would be in the top 4. I don't think and if you take SGA out of the Thunder, I think there's right around the top in NBA contenders, because you still have a Jalen Williams. You still have a Chet Holmgren. You still have those guys. And potentially a top 10 pick that you could inherit into the team next year. Shout out the LA Clippers for sucking. But I look at Cade Cunningham. I think he means more to the Pistons than SGA does for the Thunder. I really do. Yeah. And I think
100%.
Cade invites a lot of contact, like you said, but he creates a lot. He creates a lot of getting downhill. You know what? I can lob it to Duren if he's out there, because sometimes he gets suspended. If he's out there, I can lob it to Duren. I can drive. I can kick to open shooters. That's why I always said, when you surround your best player like a Cade Cunningham with shooters, great things happen. And I think SGA, the way he plays, again, you look at the free throw numbers too. Cade averages about 4 free throws a game. SGA averages more than double that, 10 free throws a game. Yeah. And the way SGA plays, I hate. I truly do. I don't like players that, are looking for contact, are looking to absorb contact and then just make their money at the free throw line. And there's nothing that stops them, and you put up points that way. But I look at their offensive sets or their offensive identities, and I think Cade Cunningham is just a better overall player. I think if you were to take the reputation of the free throws out of it, I think SGA is just he's still a really good player, but he's not averaging 30 a game. He's averaging closer to 18, 19, 20 points a game. And that's where Cade Cunningham's at right now without the free throws. So, no, I think Cade Cunningham is an overall better player than SGA. Does he have the accolades yet? No. But, this is the first true year where the Pistons are like, they could be contenders to win an NBA championship.
No, Cade, that's the thing that I love about Cade, is his ability to create in so many different ways. You don't have to be a true shooting point guard. I mean, the reality is that if you're stomachable, it would be nice. And I think that's the kind of the next step in the maturing of his career. But I think he's really good at leaning into what he does really well. And again, the numbers aren't quite there. But to your point about Oklahoma City, yeah, man. I mean, the roster that they've built there, is perfectly suited to go out and win championships. And I know that they've gone so far into the luxury tax, and with the amount of money that they've spent, people are like, well, they've pigeonholed themselves. They've tied their hands behind their backs. What are they going to do in the future? Oh boy, I'm stuck with the best roster in the NBA. How terrible. I'd like, what am I ever going to do with myself? Like, what are we talking about here? So they are set up to win top to bottom. The Pistons, I would argue they're also set up to win too. But again, from a shot creating perspective, sometimes not. Sometimes it is Cade who's on an island. I wouldn't say it's quite LeBron with the Cavs once upon a time, but it certainly feels like in terms of he is our best player. And he's the Pistons' first franchise player in a long, long time. And with the impact that he's making. Yeah, exactly. So from a standalone perspective, I wouldn't say he's done it all himself, but you want to point to the biggest reason why the Pistons are relevant in the NBA conversation now for the first time in over a decade. It's because of one Cade Cunningham. I just think Oklahoma City as an organization, they've been amazing, but I think it is SGA, but it's everything else around him. And the numbers are close, and it's probably not as much of a runaway as I make it out to be. I mean, you and I and getting into this a little bit, but you're right. I don't like the way that SGA plays the game either. And I think that he knows,
for me, really,
he knows it, but he knows it's effective. And that's the part that we are seeing. This is the reason why college basketball has gone away from being as lenient or not as lenient as non-lenient as they are with making some of these foul calls. Because you even look at some of these, like kicking the legs out when you shoot threes, or
shout out Jeremy Fears
flopping away. I mean, with certain things, and just watch the way SGA plays, and you'll get an understanding as to why people are frustrated. And so, yeah, I don't know, especially coming from Canada too. You think you're all toughness and grit. Why would you be a flopper? I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just me, but that's why college basketball has gone away from that, because it's just gotten ridiculous in the NBA. And it's not quite James Harden bad with the kicking the legs out, but it's still pretty bad.
Or the rip throughs and driving down the lane and rip through. Out foul. No, you got to call foul. No, I liked Cade. When he was in college at Oklahoma State. I mean, that was the COVID time, so. That's all I was really watching. I was a senior in high school when Cade was a freshman, and that's why I was always so hyped for Cade Cunningham to be a Piston, because I watched Oklahoma State, religiously that year, outside of the one good Juwan team that year. But no, I watched Cade Cunningham religiously because I was like, they have a shot to land him, and I would love nothing more than to see Cade Cunningham. And ultimately, he embraced the city too when he originally got drafted. He had the buffs on in his pocket, and he goes, I'm all the way up to Troy. Let's run it. And he's done nothing outside of the first couple of years, but the team wasn't very good. But since then, and the players that they drafted, when you draft 18-year-old offensively challenged players, it's going to take a minute for them to really get going. Shout out Ron Holland, shout out Jalen Duren, shout out Asar Thompson. But he's gotten things, and I think that where I feel like Cade should get a little bit more of that SGA treatment. I really do, because there's certain times of the game. Again, maybe that's also the style of brand that the Pistons play that, refs don't really like that physicality where it's like, we kind of got to tailor to the offensive game. We're not going to give you the benefits of the doubt, which, again, is truly annoying, and I don't understand why. If it's a foul, it's a foul. It doesn't matter. But SGA gets a lot of whistles, and I hope that because Cade Cunningham is kind of trending that way of being the next superstar in the NBA, and he eventually is going to get those calls. Eventually he will. At least I hope. I hope he's going to get those SGA whistles, but it just hasn't gotten there yet. And I think this year, which is truly his first MVP year, because last year wasn't an MVP year. The year before that wasn't. Did he have a really good year last year? Yeah, but at the same time, the Pistons were not relevant until like around this time last year, where they were kind of flirting with the play-in and getting in a 6 seed and trying to get out of that play-in. Now it's happened all season long. And Cade played phenomenal in the Garden last year. The only issue was outside of the first game where he was getting blitzed. But, outside of that, they didn't have another go-to scorer. They didn't, and they still don't have it. So that still worries me. But ultimately tonight, I think that I'm going to get rage-baited by SGA, and he's just going to constantly get those fouls called. And it's really going to annoy me tonight with SGA. But I think Cade is an overall better basketball player. I think SGA is good. I think he's really good. But I just don't think he's. I don't think he's better. If I were to build a team around these two guys, I'm going Cade. I just am.
Yeah, and this is why we had this conversation about the most influential sports figures in Detroit. And I think Cade is, if not number one, he's definitely number two on that list. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I would say Tarek Skubal, but I mean, obviously, with everything going on right now, maybe that kind of put a little bit of a damper on that.
A lot of Detroit fans are starting to get pissed off at this guy.
Dylan Larkin.
I mean, based off this weekend, yeah, I would say Dylan Larkin's up there.
The other thing,
I still think you got to have a football player up there. I do, just because it's football, it's king. And
probably Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, I don't know about Jared Goff.
I go Amon-Ra, to be honest. I think Amon-Ra would
Detroit
be more
fans
is the face.
I did think it was Jared Goff at one point, but I think Detroit fans are erroneously directing their frustrations with the way the Lions have been at Jared Goff, which is just utterly nonsense.
They want the sexy
in my
mobile
mind.
quarterback, and Jared Goff ain't that.
Which just doesn't make any sense. I mean, he wins games with the way he plays. You just look at his numbers. I mean, it's like, and I was always the first one, and I know that we're kind of getting off topic from what we were talking about, but
we still got like 45 minutes.
I was always the one that, said that Goff was going to be a bridge quarterback when he first got to
I don't
the
think you're
Lions.
alone on that.
I definitely, there were a lot of people. I would say the majority of people are like, yeah, he's a bridge guy. Yes,
I think the Lions expected a bridge QB.
Right. And so I think, but he, ever since then, he's kind of settled into, from a numbers perspective, when he has time to throw the football, he's one of the most effective quarterbacks in the National Football League. So how can you not, I don't know. I mean,
and we talked
Brady,
about,
how many titles did Brady win? Brady can't run a 40 in less than 6 seconds. Like, I don't know.
That's a crazy case though. That happens once every 100 years. So I don't think
it is Brady.
That'll happen again. But no, we talk about how difficult it is for the current college quarterback to even break into the NFL right away. It takes time because of how much the college game is different from the NFL. It's all RPOs. That's why I think that this quarterback draft class sucks, and if they're good, it's not for 3 years. So. That's what I think it is. And Jared Goff is an absolute stud. And the Lions that, hate on him are just clearly don't understand football. Because you give this guy time. Again, the offensive line stunk. It was mid last year. And you give this guy time to throw, he's going to put up numbers. Even when he didn't have an offensive line, he still threw for over 4,000 yards and whatever it was that he threw this year. He still had a good year statistically. All they remember is him not being able to move and not being in the pocket. Or being able to not move in the pocket.
I also saw that video you put out about Taylor Decker planning on returning for an 11th season. Yeah.
He's got to go.
I get it, man.
That's not an Ohio State thing either. That is, I see the value in saving $15 to $20 million to a guy that ain't going to make it. And I'd much rather this year, because I don't think this Lions team is winning the Super Bowl, because Kirby Joseph, I don't think he's ever going to come back. Brian Branch is not going to come back until Thanksgiving of this year. There's too much you have to fix in one offseason that I think to get this thing back on track. I would much rather, if I know that's the case, because obviously they're not going to say, oh, we don't think we're going to win the Super Bowl, because you can't, because you still think you have a shot. But I'm looking at this. I would much rather take my losses trying to develop a left tackle rookie or you move Sewell to left tackle and rookie tackle at right tackle. I'd much rather try to test a rookie tackle this year than have Taylor Decker on my team. And at the same time, that $15-20 million could then be used toward Linderbaum, a McGovern, which Linderbaum might be getting offered $23 million for a center, which I don't think the Lions will ever do that. But you tried it with a rookie last year at right guard with Ratledge, who wasn't horrible. You also tried Sewell at right tackle for a whole year as a rookie. He ain't half bad. So I'd much rather take that development with a rookie than Taylor Decker, who I know next year will be his last year no matter what.
Yeah.
And he can't he's hurt all the time.
Is there any benefit to having a vet in the room, though?
Not
Like
for
maybe
15
maybe not for
million.
that's what
Not
I'm
for
saying.
15,
Like
20
yeah,
million,
not
there
for the
ain't.
amount.
I don't
Yeah,
care
guess,
how
yeah.
old you are or how good you
Yeah.
are. For 15,
Yeah.
20 million, I ain't keeping you there. I'd be like, you know who the veteran on that team is? Penei Sewell. I'm fine with that. That's the vet in the room. For that offensive
Yeah.
line room, that's the vet. Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
The other one,
Yep.
Taylor Decker, just leave, bro. Just leave. Go to the Tennessee Titans. I'm sure they need a tackle. Just get out of here.
Yeah, man. He's meant a lot to the organization, but you're right. I mean, and
I
that's a
don't
lot of
care.
money
I
for
don't care
someone
about
that
who's meant
is not
this
a
to the organization.
not
I have
a-
the franchise.
not a-
I don't
not
care
a
about
guar-
that.
Yes, I get it, and not a guarantee that. I mean, he ends up playing, or that he can last an entire season. That's concerning, and you don't burn 15 million on a player that again has had those concerns. So you're right. No, I certainly hear.
The only way he meant a lot to the organization that if I were a franchise or a GM is if you're Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. That's the only one where you have won countless Super Bowls. It's the only one. It's the only way I do it. And Taylor Decker wasn't even a top 10 player at his position and hasn't won anything. He's won, 2 divisions and 2 Super Bowls? But I get it.
Yeah.
He's been through thick and thin, and that's what a lot of Lions fans like is, he was here through the Quinn Trisha year, which if you're a player through that era, God bless you.
Quinn
God bless you.
Trisha.
If you've been through that,
I love that.
God bless you. But you know what?
Yeah.
It's 2026. We're trying to win a damn Super Bowl. You're not a Super Bowl caliber starting left tackle. You just aren't. We saw Will Campbell get dominated in the Super Bowl. And in order for us to get to a Super Bowl, we got to go through Seattle. And Taylor Decker is going to get abused against Seattle if we ever played them. So,
yeah, and again, that's a risky investment at the end of the day. But let's get into the some of the Canadian excuses on everything that went down in the Gold Cup coming up next. Not the Gold Cup,
medal.
Sorry, the Gold Medal game.
Because
I was
don't
watching
make the Gold Cup final.
a few different shows yesterday, and they were running through all the different excuses. Had all their Canadian callers call in, and yeah, I mean, I think they might even blame us or accuse us of black magic. There's a potential that they will accuse us of that as well. But let's tell you about Man City Soccer Camps very quickly. Proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Manchester City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill sets. These camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. Back live in hour number 2 of Inside the Game. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky here on episode number 237. Ryan, one of the things that I enjoyed so much about Michigan football breaking the curse, not breaking the curse, I should say breaking the drought against Ohio State in 2021 was the flurry of excuses that happened.
Oh, the flu, the weather,
the weather,
then Stallions,
football gods, whatever the case may be. That is something that is typical of a group of players in a team. Yeah, exactly. But that is typical of a team or of a group that is not used to losing. Okay. And for Canada hockey, when we talk about that gold medal game, especially when it comes to the United States, especially when it comes to the biggest stage in the Olympics, even in the Four Nations, the U.S. is not known for winning in those situations, and Canada is not typically known for losing, especially on the men's side, because Canada is everything that country is. Hockey and Canada are synonymous with each other. You look at the United States, I mean, you could probably say it's, I don't know, third, maybe even fourth on the list. I mean, generally speaking, it's, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Boston against the rest of the world. And so when we take on Canada in the Olympics and we end up beating the men's team, much like Ohio State did in 2021 after losing that game, and again, finding every single excuse in the book because they're not used to losing, Canada has turned around and done the same exact thing. They blamed Connor Hellebuyck because he was just too good. Man, how dare he save all those shots on net? How dare he do his damn job better than anybody else? If you want to blame McDavid or if you want to blame the players for choking in big-time situations where you have a wide-open goal and you can't put it in, fine. But you know what? It's hockey, and that stuff happens. And when you're talking about one game in which to decide everything, this isn't a 7-game series. This isn't a 5-game series. You have one game to go out and win. And that was another excuse that I heard. Oh, could you imagine if it was a 7-game series, how quickly this would be over? Or how about 3-on-3 overtime is we don't like that. Well, you liked it when it helped you out. You liked it when it benefited you. But now that it doesn't benefit you, now that you put the 3 best players in the world on the ice and you can't get it done, that's another excuse. Just a litany of reasons as to why the U.S. did not deserve to win. But oddly enough, the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is how many goals it's on the board. We had 2. You had 1. And there's one particular bum in sports media that's been talking a lot about this and has had something to say about it the entire way. Matter of fact, he said there is no way, and I quote, no way that the U.S. beats Canada in the gold medal match. And I'm sure some people actually probably believe that. And it's a team with Hall of Famers, up and down, top to bottom. A lot of people believe that. His name is Sid Seixeiro. He's a part of the Sid Seixeiro show, part of Sick Media, Toronto sports show. So he's a Maple Leafs fan. Doesn't like Austin Matthews very much. That's fine. He is a champion. It's a champion for us. I don't care less what he does with you guys. But either way, he's been talking a lot. And he guaranteed that Canada would not lose this game. And now, well, he's going back on it. And I don't think there's anybody in Canadian media or in Canada in general that's coping harder than this guy.
You're taking heat from an American buddy of yours or a coworker or Johnny lives in his parents' basement online, whoever it is. Don't worry. Let it go. Don't worry. Why? Multiple reasons. The 2 that stand out the most begin with America enjoying their best hockey moment in 46 years because that federation and that sport in the States has been a disgrace since 1980. So let them have their moment. No gold medals on the men's side. The women's side, strong. Men's side, complete joke. And you know it. Seriously, 1980. Half the roads in your town weren't built in 1980. Is by Wednesday, none of them will care. I cannot stress to you enough how few people in the United States of America, aside from a Four Nations final, a couple of fights in another game in that tournament, and yesterday, care about hockey. Viewership on TNT was down 38% on opening night of the National Hockey League this year on American television. They do not care about this sport, guys. Do not get riled up about what Americans think of Canadian hockey and passion. Do not waste your time. They'll be filling out their March Madness bracket in a week.
Well, March Madness
Sid,
doesn't start for another 3 weeks, but it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Sid, I got a jump scare for you. Ah! We own you. The state of Michigan owns your ass. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. Okay, so first of all, it's Wednesday. I still care. And I still think there's a lot of people in the United States that still very much care about us going out and beating your ass in the gold medal game. A lot of us care. And you know what, Sid? I'll even go as far as to say this. You are right. Since that 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, in which we did the unthinkable and we beat the Russians and we went out, we won the gold medal game, it has been a disgrace. It has not been great. From the late 80s into the 90s, even in the late 90s and 96 when we won the world championship, we went to 98, we failed. And we failed at the highest level. In 2002, we lost in the gold medal game to Canada. 2006, bounced by Sweden. 2010, the loss in overtime in Vancouver. 2014 was an utter failure. 2018, 2022, not really something to write home about. Yeah, I agree. It has in a lot of ways been a failure, despite the amount of national pride that we feel right now, it has. But the truth is that none of that really matters, because the only thing that you can control is what's in front of you. And Sid, we've beaten you 2 out of the last 3 times. We beat you once in 4 Nations. We just beat you in the gold medal game. And I don't, the truth is I wasn't really interested in really even giving any of my Canadian friends any sort of guff about what happened in the Olympics. I don't have any beef to pick with them. I thought it was a great game. I thought it was a great showing from both sides. But if you're going to be so pompous and so arrogant as to say that we don't have the right to say anything, Sid, what do you have left in Canada if you don't have hockey? You have what? Lacrosse? Okay, cool. What about baseball? Oh, no, probably not. We're going to wax you in that coming up in the World Baseball Classic.
Soccer was a disaster.
Don't have hockey.
Basketball was a disaster in the Olympics.
That's a disaster. Basketball, yeah, you know how that goes. I mean, yeah, you got SGA, the foul merchant, but I mean, what? Dylan Brooks? That's the best your country has to offer. Is
He doesn't
Dylan
do
Brooks.
anything, but they got Jamal Murray. They got Trey Lyles,
Kelly,
mind you.
and can't forget Kelly Olynyk, the legendary
God.
Kelly Olynyk.
Oh God, he sucked so bad. Oh boy.
Listen, I know that it hurts more than anything to see hockey lose, the national Canadian hockey team lose, because it is everything. And I imagine it's the equivalent of the U.S. losing in basketball to France in that matchup. But the only difference is that the tides have turned, and absolutely we have a right to dig into you, because you had a lineup full of Hall of Famers, be it Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and Jack and Quinn Hughes just took over the rest of the world. Bunch of Michigan kids just took over the rest of the world in that gold medal match. We've caught up. We've developed better. Everything that we've done and the systems that we've put in place have gotten us to this point. And I know that Russia didn't get to compete. So I know that it's you can't really be like, oh, we're the best in the world, because we didn't get to technically see the best in the world. But we're certainly better than you. And so, yeah, we are going to take an opportunity to take a victory lap. We are going to take an opportunity to rub it in a little bit. I think it's pathetic, personally, Ryan.
Yeah, no, this is also the same guy that thinks Ronaldo's better than Messi, so there's really not much you can say about this guy. He thought everything was in the stats were even wrong that this guy was saying. And just looking at Canadian hockey since the turn of the century, I thought Canadian hockey dominated a little bit more. I really did. They won in 02, then 10 and 14, and that's it. They haven't won a gold medal since 14. They also haven't been in the gold medal game since 2014. So I thought Canada dominated this a little bit more, but they really didn't, which, by the way, in 2018, I did not know this, but Russia competed in it. Pavel Datsyuk was on the team. Did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
But Pavel Datsyuk was on the squad with a whole bunch of kids. Shout out that legend. That what do they call him? Like the
Magic Man.
yeah, the Magic Man. Thank you, appreciate it. But I thought Canada was better at this thing. To be honest with you, I really did. I really did.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, can the U.S. say it's been a disgrace since 1980? Yeah, I mean, haven't won it. But at the same time, a lot of your gold medals came before my parents were born. I think right around my grandparents were born, like in the 30s and the 40s and
Yep.
the 50s, you know?
Yep.
So it's don't act like Canada is this hot shot nation in terms of like the grand scheme of things. Like I feel like they were being portrayed as like Nick Saban, Alabama. Like that's the way that they're being portrayed. Do they have really good players? Absolutely. They have some studs out there. McDavid, McKinnon, McCarr. I think I said his name right. It's unbelievable how good they are. But this is just how they fall. This is how they fall apart. Is they blame everything. McKinnon is like, just tell me who was the better team on the day. Just tell me who's the better team. That's how they start. This is how everything crumbles. I've seen this play time and time again play out in soccer. But it's just a salty nation right now. That's ultimately what it is, and they're scared to admit that the USA hockey team is better. I don't know if I would say better because of the way the game was played, but they won. So yeah, I can say that the U.S. team is better just based on that. And do I really care that that it was finished 3-3? No, because my team won, my country won, and at the same time, don't act like you didn't benefit from the 3-on-3 hockey in the first round, which you could have gotten eliminated in the quarterfinals. We may not even have this conversation. And to be honest with you, Nate, I wanted Canada in the finals. I wanted to play Canada in the finals as the U.S. I did. I truly did. And they get to that moment, they win it, and now this is what's coming out from everybody. Like they're so scared. They're so scared to admit all this. Like it is stage one of grief. They're in denial right now. They're just in denial. They don't want to admit that the USA hockey team is better.
Yeah. If you want to cope. I mean, it's okay. It'll take a little bit. It'll sting for a while before you're finally able to get over it. But the reality is don't speak on USA hockey. You can cope in so many ways that you want to, but don't speak on it, okay? Our youth development is getting better. Our development at the highest level is getting better. Our youth levels, we beat the hell out of you all the time. Now we beat you at the top level. Our women's team has been better. And by the way, they're young, and they're going to continue to get better, but beat you twice, beat you 3 times in this Olympics at your national sport. So, Sid, I just think it's important that we just kind of, maybe you get back to talking a little Toronto Maple Leafs or something else.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to win. Because they're going to win so
Talk
much
about the biggest
this year.
disappointment in the National Hockey League since the original 6. So,
you know what was also funny?
I think it's ridiculous.
Was PK Subban talking about like all these excuses the other day after, and
of
Stephen A.
course,
Smith is like, I don't want to hear these. I don't want to hear this. Yeah. You guys had a way better team and lost. Like the amount of the type of players that they had compared to us, it's I wouldn't say it's apples to oranges, but it's pretty close to it. Like we got some studs, but it ain't like I said, USA basketball and Canada hockey are the same. You have Hall of Famers on every single line. You have Hall of Famers at every position. We have a couple Hall of Famers, or a couple future Hall of Famers, but not all across the board. France basketball's got a couple Hall of Famers, but not all across the board. Mm-hmm. So I just don't understand why they're so like butthurt about this thing. It's like they're so scared, and it's like, guys, it's just a hockey game, guys. Like you guys, the world's not ending. You guys will still live. You guys will still not win a Canadian team will still not win the Stanley Cup like normal.
I imagine it's the equivalent of if the U.S. men's national team beat England. That's kind of
in soccer.
Soccer, I mean that would.
Might start World
they
War
would
III.
lose it. Like we would have fun by saying, "Oh, it's called soccer." We would rub it in a little bit, but over there, I mean, it would literally
that generally might cause World War III.
I'm not kidding. Yes,
that might cause.
Like,
if the U.S. men's national team beat England in soccer, that might cause World War III. It really might.
I think that island country might burn down. Overnight. I think they might just set fire to it and say we got to start over again. Because how the hell do we lose to the U.S.?
And I guess for the USA basketball perspective, The only way that a loss would hurt in the Olympics is if we didn't have our guys. Because if it was like the third team, I guess, if that makes sense, because that's how we lose in the Olympics or the World Cup is when we don't, like when Jalen Brunson's running our team like 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was in the World Cup, and Germany of all countries won. I don't care less. It's Jalen Brunson and Austin Reeves out there. I don't care. Like if they lost to LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, like if we lost to them, then I'd be like, okay, what just happened? But
yeah, hey, so congrats, Sid. You got the world championship there with our B team in basketball. So they do got that. At least they got that.
When did they beat us in basketball?
The world championships in 2023.
That was Germany that won it. Did they not?
I thought Canada beat us on the way to, or Canada beat us for the bronze. Canada beat us somewhere in there.
What was it? Basketball champion? Who won FIBA?
Yeah, the FIBA World Cup.
Yeah, Germany won against Serbia.
I thought Canada beat us in there though.
They could have. I mean, I don't know. But
I thought I watched the Court of Gold doc. I thought I remember seeing that. But either way,
the Court of Gold doc was the Olympics.
No, but they were talking about why everyone decided to go to the Olympics. Obviously because of Paris, but also because they didn't win that FIBA World Cup. So they felt like they needed to kind of re-cement their place atop the world. And then obviously that at the same time you get the Noah Lyles comment worked in there, and so everybody's just kind of like it became a big troll job against the US.
Oh, we did lose in overtime.
Yeah, it's much like the same
place.
way that it's much like the same way that Greece and when they upset us before the Redeem team came in and did what they did. So that's what kind of necessitated it, was that we didn't win that. And
who was on this team? 2024. No, not Olympics.
I think Hallie was on it.
That was like before
Brunson.
Hallie was actually good. I think Banchero may have been on that team.
Banchero was on it. Brunson was on it. Austin Reeves was on the team.
Ant-Man
coached by
on
Steve
it. That was
Kerr.
before Ant-Man was Ant-Man.
Yeah. So like they were young. A lot of stars, but they were young. But yeah, I think Brunson was there.
I think the team included Anthony Edwards. Jaren Jackson was on the team. Brandon Ingram was on the team. I guess we had a decent. Yeah. Our only true center was Walker Kessler. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other forwards who could play center was Banchero, who was the reigning rookie of the year at the time, and Bobby Portis. Oh my God. Other players that were long and capable of defending multiple positions: Halliburton, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Josh Hart. Oh my God, this team sucked. This team wasn't good. And this was 23-year-old Hallie.
Yeah.
23-year-old Hallie, 20-year-old Banchero, 22-year-old Ant-Man, 23-year-old Jaren Jackson. Oh my God, this team sucked. See, that doesn't hurt me because like that team wasn't good. Are there a couple of studs on that team? Yes, we can say that now. But at the time, no. We had a rookie of the year playing on our team.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could have made up in 2023. I probably could have made I could have made 2 or 3 better NBA rosters, and then to play that.
Yeah. Let's get into our final topic here on the other side of this commercial break, and then we'll get into question of the day as well. Again, just wanted to remind you guys, got a couple of interviews coming up tomorrow, so keep it locked for that. We'll give you more information as we go. But Ryan thinks Tarek Skubal is a wimp. And I don't agree with him. So let's talk about this on the other side of the break here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Are back live on Inside the Game. Slow fade out from the commercial. Welcome back in for our final segment here before we get question of the day. Ryan, Tarek Skubal, a unique situation, I think.
He's
is
just
the way
a
I would
wimp. It's
describe
not a
it.
unique situation. He just
with-
don't want to play in big
with-
situations.
Well, if he just doesn't want to play, then why doesn't he just not play with the team? Like that's the part that annoys me the most. If you're only going to play in one game, what does that serve us? Well, I mean, that tells me
Nothing.
that obviously
It
you want to
doesn't.
participate, but you don't really want to participate. Also, if the concern is getting hurt, you
Then
can still
why
get
play in
hurt
one game?
That's what I'm saying. And so no, to that point, I agree. The reason as to why he wouldn't want to play, I think is legitimate. I mean, if you have concerns about, hey, I want to save myself for the MLB regular season, we've seen that before.
Then don't
And
play
I
in the
don't
regular
think
season then, Scooble, if you're so worried about it. But are you telling me that the Mexico, Italy, or Great Britain game in group play is truly going to matter for the U.S. if Scooble's out there or not? No. You could throw me out there, we'd probably still win by a run. At least
Never
I
seen you
wouldn't.
swing a bat.
I wouldn't wimp out though in the 7th inning like somebody. I wouldn't just sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm so
Oh,
happy. I
man.
just threw 100 miles per hour, but I can't go anymore, bro."
Mm.
So what's the point? What's the point of being out there?
Oh.
Yeah, you cut out there for a second there. You like froze on screen. So just give me a heart attack.
No updates, by the way.
Huh?
Definitely updated. No updates, by the way. Definitely updated. So, we're good to go. But
but-
anyways,
But no, I just think that I would much rather just have a different pitcher then. If I don't even know who the manager is of the club or the World Classic baseball team is, but I'd be like, then don't play. Thanks for.
I mean,
He's like Kawhi Leonard at this point. Kawhi
Yeah.
Leonard started on the Olympic team, and then it was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Just why even
Yeah.
play?
yeah. And why do we have to make some sort of special exception in order to include you? And you're eating up maybe another spot for someone else who wanted to go. And I think the most disappointing thing is that I think we've known for a long time that Skubal and Skeens were both going to be there, and that it was going to be this ultimate 1-2 punch for the U.S. men's
Everyone
national
thought
team.
that.
Yeah, but now it's like, okay, well, we're going to have Skeens, and I still think they're capable of going out and winning the damn thing, but it's like
Nope,
only
Japan's
one
robots. They're not real. They're not real.
Probably, I'm guessing Japan's the other favorite, but the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico both have pretty good chances
I think
of
Great
making
Britain's
runs.
got a
too.
shot.
So, yeah, sure. But it is. I'll say this: it is. Is it a smart career move? I don't think it would make that much of a difference with how long the tournament is. Again, I just don't think it would really change a whole lot. But when you look at last year's World Baseball Classic, or was it last year or a couple years ago?
2 years ago or 3 years
2
ago.
years ago.
When
3 years
Shohei
ago.
pitched against Trout. That was pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. But think about someone like Edwin Diaz. You know, he ended up sustaining an injury in that game.
Because he was
not
celebrating.
from
That's
celebrating. That's ridiculous. I get it, but he still suffered an injury and he was out for the rest of the year. So it is when you're not making money to do this. Like, you're not getting paid by USA Baseball. I don't think, you're just obviously you're making your major league money. And if you are, it pales in comparison to what his earning
He
potential
just
is.
won
in
his
Major League
arbitration
Baseball.
case. He's fine.
I think it's completely realistic though to not want to put yourself out there. But again, this half and half of, oh, I'll do one game but no more than that. That's the part that doesn't sit well with American fans, and it's the part that doesn't really sit well with me. It's like, dude, if you're in, you're in. If you're in, you're all in. You know, why are we half in on this? Like this means something to a lot of people. So if you want to be in and do it, then do it. You know, I don't see, Paul Skeens, of course, he's in a far different situation than what Tarik Skubal is, but I don't see the same level of hesitation. He still has to worry about getting hurt. Every guy that's out there has to worry about getting hurt. If they weren't worried about getting hurt, then, that they wouldn't be human. So I understand why he would want to not or only do one game. But at this point, again, man, it's like, just step away. I think everybody understands if you just want to not be a part of it. I don't think anybody's going to hold that against you, personally.
They do get paid, by the way. It doesn't say an amount,
Oh,
but
they
do
do
get paid.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I got to be honest. Skubal's really pissing me off. The whole arbitration case this offseason. Again, I know it's not all like on him. I understand that. But like this guy is just pissing me off. Skubal, the reason I bring up the whole game 5 thing is I think you could have gone another inning, and then you could have then gone back to your bullpen for the 8th and the 9th. I think so. I think he could have. And within the first, I think it was the first like 3 batters, we gave up a run and the game was tied. Did the pitching staff do an unbelievable job in the extra innings? Yeah, but they also got put in a lot of bad jams. They had bases loaded. Like each team had bases loaded, I think, twice in certain spots. So, and we got out of it every single time. But the reason I bring it up about the whole game 5 is you were throwing 100 miles per hour on your 100th pitch. And I think when it comes to playoffs, because we talk about load management in the NBA, load management in baseball, I don't care anymore. It's the playoffs. It's game 5 of the ALDS with a chance to go to the ALCS for the first time, I think, in like 15 years, 12, 13 years, whatever it was. And we could have played the Blue Jays. Did I think we were going to win that series? No. But you are then putting yourself in another spot in the ALCS, and you have a chance to eventually, if you won that one, get killed by the LA Dodgers in the World Series. But the reason that I get pissed off about it is Skubal was in the dugout, and he was like smiling with his towel. He's doing this. My name's Tarik Skubal. I just pitched 6 innings and gave up 1 run. Dude, you should be demanding that damn baseball. Demand it. You go out there and pitch another inning. And another thing that I was pissed off about is he wants like $40 million. Yet, in the franchise's 2 biggest games since when we lost to the Red Sox or whatever, when the day the Tigers died of Torrey Hunter just going into the bullpen after Big Papi just tied it up with a grand slam. Man, that was a sad day. Sad day. The day the Tigers died. But the reason I was so pissed off about that is in 2 of the franchise's biggest games, 2 of the biggest games of franchise history, he gave up a grand slam, ultimately lost us that one, and did not plead to go back out there to get the 7th inning. Go tell AJ, you know what? I want the ball. I'm the best pitcher in baseball, and I'm going to give you another reason why you should pay me $40 million a year. I'll give you another reason. I want to bounce back from the debacle that I had in giving up a grand slam. Is there any way for me to prove that in innings 8 through 9 that, we wouldn't have given up another run and still done the same thing? No. But at the same time, I think if I am paying you this amount of money, you should go out there and give me that amount of money performance. Oh, yes, you should. And then I see this guy, and he's like, well, I'm kind of in, but I'm kind of out for the World Baseball Classic, so I don't know. He's just pissing me off. I don't know. He's just pissing me off recently. And Skubal's really taking me off. And you know what, Skubal? You better have a really good year this year, and we better win the division, better make the playoffs, and at a minimum, make the ALCS. I'm sorry, but this guy's pissing me off.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom, Corey Kluber, Tim Lincecum, Bob Gibson, Roger Clemens, depending on how you feel about the Rocket. That's the company that Tarik Skubal is in. And so,
don't they all have like World Series and stuff? Don't they all put in like unbelievable performances all the time? Skubal's pitched like in 1 complete game ever.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think when I think about all of this, it's just so bizarre to me to say that he's not deserving of the money when he's a part of probably the most elite grouping, especially of pitchers in baseball history, to have multiple Cy Youngs. I mean,
I'm gonna look
built
back in 10
a
years.
bullpen. Hold on. You've built a bullpen that, analytically speaking, has helped you get to that point. Like, your pitching staff is really the sole reason why you're at that point. You're at 100 pitches, and you're right. There is no guarantee that he goes back out and he continues to shove.
But he was
Because
dominating
you
at
are
that
at
point,
100 pitches.
and it went
He
through the
was.
heart.
He did very good, but 6 innings is a great start when you have your entire pen to go to with 3 innings remaining. They
Maybe
gave
it's
up
playoffs.
one run,
different.
Ryan. They gave up 1 run. 1.
But
Okay,
it's
and
the
how
playoffs,
many?
Nate. It's the playoffs.
I understand.
That's
I
the biggest game
understand
in
that.
franchise
But
history
if we're
for the last
rolling
15
out,
years.
if we're rolling out a Division II team with the bats in their hands, what are we expecting?
Nate,
Man, like, that is not.
I don't understand why we coddle this guy. He went 6 innings. He went 6 innings. It's fine.
Cy
No,
Youngs.
it's the damn playoffs. Sasaki played a game before that and then did that in Game 7. Dominated. But we're not going to hold Skubal to that standard? Oh, but he did 6 innings. It's cute, Skubal. It's fine.
You've built and developed the best bullpen in baseball. Why would you
and
not
then they
use
give up a
them
run
in the
in the
biggest
first 3 batters.
Yeah, that happens. That's baseball. That happens. You're
Skubal
gonna
was
give up
dealing.
runs.
He was dominating.
I get it, but you're at 100 pitches. Like, he's done his work through 6. It is one situation. He's won 2 Cy Youngs.
In
the
10
things
years,
that he's done.
In 10 years, if Skubal doesn't get us to, like, because we'll say this is his last year for argument's sake, for the sake of the argument, this is his last year. But if this year he doesn't get us to ALCS or makes a World Series, wins a World Series, in 10 years, guess what? I could give 2 craps about what Skubal did in the regular season. I could care less. Because you know what I care about? Championships.
Yeah.
Pennants.
Well, baseball is not a
I
sport
don't
where you
care
can
about
blame
the regular
one guy.
season. I don't.
Baseball's not a sport where you can blame one guy. By the way, he's the closest thing to a guaranteed W we've had the last couple of years. So we would not have even been there if it wasn't for him.
But is there a World Series championship there? Ultimately, if you
okay,
go back,
but that's not on one guy. That's my point. You get him once every 5
put in the
days.
Situation 2 times in big moments, Game 5s of the ALDS twice, and gives up a grand slam. Doesn't go back out for the 7th.
Against
if you want to
Cleveland,
be
he
a
got
dog
shelled.
and you want to be remembered in history, you go out there and deliver a performance. JV did it. Why can't Skubal do it? Maybe JV being on the team is going to tell Skubal, demand that ball. Maybe that's the reason why he was here.
JV did it because we had literally you and me sitting in the bullpen.
But he did it, did he not?
I understand it. But it's an analytics-driven game, and you have the best
I've never seen analytics win a championship. I've seen
really,
players go
analytics
out and
got
win
them to that
championships.
point, Ryan. Analytics got them into the playoffs. Analytics is what built this team. Pitching.
And clearly, it's won us a World Series. Clearly, it's got us to an ALCS. Clearly, we won a division with it.
That can't swing the damn bats is the reason why we haven't won a World Series championship. They gave up 1 run. We went to 16 innings. Oh, boy. There goes my camera.
All right.
We're back. 16 innings, 1 run. I don't know, man. I mean,
I expect greatness. And if you want to be paid as the greatest thing there is, go out and prove it again in the biggest stage. I could care less what you do in the regular season. Like, if the Pistons were to go out in if this Michigan basketball team were to lose before the Final Four, I don't care then in 10 years. I could sit back and be like, well, let me tell you about the 2025 Michigan basketball
Much like
team.
Jared Goff being the scapegoat for Detroit fans with the Lions, Tarek Skubal being the scapegoat for us not having a World Series championship is just
because
lame.
He's
At
been
that
in 2
point,
situations and hasn't delivered.
Yeah, again, it's not just one guy, but either way, let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. If you want to save 15% off of the #1 smell-proof cleat bag, #1 smell-proof cleat bag, use promo code NSN15. I was choking there for a second like Skubal in ALDS. Visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code. But if you want a chance to win a free cleat bag, head over to our Instagram, NatSoccerTV, comment, #NSN Salt giveaway, and tag a friend. But question of the day, I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. is Connor Hellebuck going to survive in Winnipeg after the gold medal game? Like, is he going to actually make it back to the States? I know I made a video of him saying that we should get him a beer every time we see the man, but I don't know if he's going to survive and make it back to the States. I think he should request a trade.
I thought about Austin Matthews. What the hell? How the hell is Toronto going to treat Austin
too.
Matthews? Like, the dude can't win anything with the Maple Leafs, and then he joins the U.S. men's national team and beats Canada. I mean, that was the first jeer that I heard after they won the game is, hey, Matthews actually won something. Hey, congrats. So, yeah, how are they? I don't know. I remember Ryan Miller got like a raucous round of applause because he was with Buffalo during the 2010 one.
I remember him.
Yeah, they'll probably get a few boos, a few jeers, I imagine.
All right. I mean, I'm just worried about the guy. What did he win yesterday? Like Presidential Honor of Freedom to Connor Hellebuck?
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to you, Hellebuck. You're having one heck of a week, man. I mean, the whole hockey team's had one heck of a week. Yesterday, McClellan was asked about Larkin, and he was like, MIA? I don't know. He's like, all I know is they're supposed to go to the White House. He might be back today, but I don't know how things are going to work. Do I expect him to be playing in Ottawa? I do. Do I know how well he's going to do? I don't know. But now Larkin, it's time to lock in. We need to make the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years or whatever it is.
But that wraps up episode 237 on Inside the Game. Back tomorrow at 9 a.m. And until we talk to you guys then, so long, everybody.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer.